Peace to the ancestors. Welcome to our live weekly YouTube readings of the final report of the California Reparations Task Force right here on the CJEC YouTube channel. This is the only live reading of the California Reparations Task Force final report right here on YouTube. The final report of the first in the nation California Reparations Task Force is one of, if not the most important government reports about the Black American community since the 1960s. Equally important is also the foundation for current and future reparations legislation in California. The report is nearly 1,100 pages long, and we're bringing every page of it to you, chapter by chapter, every week on Thursdays at 7 p.m. PST, so that you are properly educated in your advocacy for reparations in California. Today's reading of the final report is presented to you as a community service with support from the reparations organizing and mobilizing team at the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California. CJEC is California's leading grassroots organization born for reparations and reparative justice for Black American freedmen living in California. For more info on CJEC and our work helping to enact the law that created the California Reparations Task Force, California's law requiring state agencies to collect data on descendants of U.S. slavery, the Act to End Current Slavery in California State Prisons, the California Freedmen Affairs Bill, and much more, visit www.cjec-official.org. Right now, we need you to do three things. First, connect to our YouTube channel by liking this video, hitting the bell, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. Also, go to our social media by following CJEC on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter at CJEC Official. That's at CJEC Official. To get informed and stay involved, please go to www.cjec-official.org. That's www.cjec-official.org, and sign up for our current and accurate California reparations news and information on our Get Involved page, and support our work by volunteering and or donating. To donate, just click the Donate tab on the home page of our website. Special thanks to our amazing fiscal sponsor, the California Black Women's Health Project. You can learn more about our fiscal sponsor, the California Black Women's Health Project, at www.cabwhp.org. Greetings, everyone. Once again, my name is Uumoiya. You spell that Uumoiya, and it's pronounced Uumoiya. I'm a longtime resident in California, and I'm a volunteer reparations advocate with CJEC's reparations organizing and mobilizing team. I'm also a co-founder of Emend the Mass Media Group, along with my great partner, Kim Mims. I'd also like to shout out to our great contributor, associate producer, Miss Darlene Crumity, and also our past contributors, heavy contributors to our platform, C.O. Thomas and Chris Lodgson. Today we're going to be reading Chapter 34, Introduction to Compendium of Statutes and Case Law. You can follow along in the reading and download tonight's chapter or the full final report yourself by going to www.cjec-official.org reports. All right, fam, please go to our YouTube page. That's ETM's YouTube page, to be specific. It's EMEND if you do a search on YouTube. And just type in EMEND. That's emend, not amend, but emend. You can go and listen to the interim report that we read live right there on ETM Media Group's YouTube page. You can also check out the California Reparations Task Force hearings. We recorded both the virtual, and we were also live and in person live streaming every single reparations task force. So we were there live and in person, And I would like to thank everyone who showed up both on the live and in person the whole time. We really appreciate your support. And also, please, if you haven't had a chance, I highly recommend looking at the last California Senate floor hearing. Yes, that we recorded live on our YouTube page, and we are going to be continuing following these bills through the assembly. So, speaking of bills, if you haven't had a chance, I highly recommend you signing up for CJEC's newsletter. Just go to cj-official.org and please sign up for the newsletter so you can be informed on the latest reparations bills. If you happen not to know what the latest lineage reparations bills that did pass through the California Senate, I will let you know what they are right now. That would be SB 1331, the Fund for Reparations and Reparative Justice. That's SB 1403, the California American Freedmen Affairs Agency, and also SB 1050, the California American Freedmen Affairs Agency, Racially Motivated Eminent Domain. I'd like to thank everybody who supported this bill, including the California State Senate. Shout out to our senators. It was overwhelmingly voted support, so we thank everyone in the Senate for passing those three bills. And we also would like to thank those 11,000 plus, and don't quote me, it could be more people, but those 11,000 plus letters that were sent to the California State Senate. Shout out to everybody who went on and supported in CJEC's call to action. We really appreciate everybody for putting in the time, because this is a community effort and it's really up to you and to all of us, not just as individuals, but us as a community, to get these important reparations bills passed through the Senate and also to the Assembly, and eventually for the governor to sign it. So that's 41 Assembly members, 21 senators, and that one governor, Governor Gavin Newsom, to sign it. Last but never least, special shout out and thanks to our CJEC's reparations organizing and mobilizing team, specifically our volunteer final report readers. And family, without further ado, Chapter 34 of the California Reparations Task Force final report. That's Chapter 34, Introduction to Compendium of Statutes and Case Law. Introduction. Through its enactment of AB 3121, the legislature charged the task force with compiling the federal and state laws that discriminated against formerly enslaved Africans and their descendants from 1868 to the present, and identifying how California laws and policies that continue to disproportionately and negatively affect African Americans as a group and perpetuate the lingering material and psychosocial effects of slavery can be eliminated. The task force produced Part 9, that's IX, of the report, the Legal Compendium, to not only catalog, but to summarize and memorialize for the public the many state and federal laws that have perpetuated discrimination against African Americans in California, as well as some cases and laws that advance the rights of African Americans by setting aside those racist laws and policies. Due to the myriad ways in which laws and cases have created and nurtured this system of subjugation, the compendium is illustrative, not exhaustive. Nevertheless, chapters 34 through 40 are intended to provide a comprehensive documentation of the centuries-long struggle in California, dating back to the earliest years of statehood for prison, the state dating back to the earliest years of statehood for personhood, equality, and equity. This compendium is divided thematically based on 6 major subject areas discussed throughout the task force report. 1, housing; 2, labor; 3, education; 4, political participation; 5, the unjust legal system; and 6, civil rights. In doing so, the compendium documents many of the constitutional provisions, statutes, and court cases that form the foundations of the discrimination and atrocities discussed throughout chapters 1 through 13 of this report. Beginning with California's 1850 Constitution, this compendium highlights laws that discriminated against African Americans and created and maintained white privilege and supremacy. As described in Chapter 2, Enslavement, when California's Constitution began taking shape, lawmakers in the state created a racial hierarchy that reinforced slavery and denied African American people freedom and the rights of citizenship. California even adopted a fugitive slave law in 1852 to return freedom seekers to their enslavers. California's laws also denied African American people voting and homesteading rights, the ability to testify in court, and the ability to enroll their children in the public education system. The state further prohibited African Americans from inheriting property, stifling economic stability and the development of generational wealth. The state reinforced and broadened this racial hierarchy in the 1879 state constitution. In it, the state expanded many laws to protect white men's rights and privileges while denying the same rights to African American Californians. And at the same time that the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the United States Constitution sought to liberate African Americans, California embraced constitutional provisions and laws that excluded African American people from those liberties, entrenching racial segregation and white supremacy. For example, even through the 15th Amendment to the United States Constitution prohibited states from abridging the right to vote based on race, California state and local officials often prevented African American Californians from voting through residency requirements, poll taxes, and other legal hurdles. Even when African American Californians made gains in certain areas, full equality has remained out of reach. As described in Chapter 10, Stolen Labor and Hindered Opportunity, this compendium documents how the state's law and policies created an unequal playing field for African American Californians to work and earn a residence, from even seeking damages for violations of anti-discrimination laws. At times, court decisions would recognize instances of discrimination, hinting at progress for African American workers and business owners, but ultimately worsening the situation by creating loopholes that subjugated them to greater discrimination. The compendium also documents many of the laws and policies discussed in Chapter 6. Separate and unequal education used by the state to exclude African American Californians from countless educational opportunities since the beginning of the state's public education system in the 1870s. While African American Californians struggled and made advances to end education discrimination throughout the 20th century, government officials continued to place new hurdles before them. Even when several court rulings reiterated the Supreme Court's determination in Brown versus Board of Education in 1955, 349 U.S. 294, the districts could not operate segregated schools. Local officials resisted and sidestepped this ruling in order to maintain segregation. For instance, in Fullerton Joint Union High School District versus State Board of Education, 1982, 32, Cal 3D 779, the city of Yorba Linda attempted to form a separate, predominantly white school district to avoid having its white children attend school with African American children in the area, a tactic used throughout the country, especially across states in the South that had been members of the Confederacy, to maintain segregation. Similarly, the laws and policies included in the compendium reveal how African American Californians faced tremendous political restrictions from the state's inception. reinforcing this report's discussion in Chapter 4, Political Disenfranchisement. Initially, the state's constitution did not consider African American residents to be state citizens, nor did it permit African American residents to vote or run for office. It was not until 1879 that California amended its constitution to recognize men of African descent, and it took even longer to include African American women. But by then, white men had already established a stranglehold over key positions of power in California, excluding African American residents from the corridors of power for decades more. And this entrenched power enabled and maintained the systems of racial discrimination discussed throughout this report. In addition to this report's discussion of an unjust legal system in Chapter 11, this compendium highlights many of the egregious laws and rulings reinforcing discrimination against African American people in our state and in our country. Early California statutory law prevented Black people from testifying against white people. Several cases include examples of strategies prosecutors used to exclude African American potential jurors to secure all white juries, contributing directly to the current mass incarceration crisis. Similarly, People versus Golick, 1961, 55 Cal 2D 540, exposed how police influence witnesses into identifying African American suspects in lineups, regardless of their accuracy. As a supplement to the history of the atrocities discussed in chapters 1 through 13 of this report, this compendium serves as an overview of the many laws that built up state and federal legal systems designed to subjugate African American Californians. It is important to note, however, that there are numerous state and federal cases and laws that are not included in this compendium. For example, the compendium focuses on cases decided by the California Supreme Court and the United States Supreme Court between 1850 and 2020, tracking the years from the state's founding to the year AB 3121 was enacted. Though comprehensive, this compendium does not exhaustively list every case, law, policy, and practice that reinforce the structures of slavery and racial discrimination. To do so would result in a compendium far exceeding the length of the report itself. The compendium also does not include local and municipal laws nor cases from municipal courts, trial courts, district courts, or other appellate courts. Given the long and wide-ranging history of discrimination in this state and across the country, a full list would be nearly impossible to authoritatively and accurate complete and would result in an unwieldy record. Instead, the compiled constitutional provisions, statutes, and cases support the findings set forth in chapters 1 through 13. Demonstrate the need for the policy changes recommended in chapters 18 through 30, and support the task force's effort, as further described in chapter 33, to educate the public regarding the long-standing and wide-ranging ways in which governmental entities, often through the strategic use of the court system, have reinforced the system of permanent discrimination, a legacy of enslavement in our country. Chapters 35 through 40 consist of constitutional provisions, statutes, and case law that had significant impacts on the development of our unjust legal system as it relates to African Americans. Specifically, each chapter includes both federal and state statutes and case law. Chapter 35 consists of statutes and case law relating to how African Americans have been wronged by housing laws. Chapter 36 consists of statutes and case law relating to how African Americans have been wronged by labor laws. Chapter 37 consists of statutes and case law relating to how African Americans have been subjected to racial discrimination in education. Chapter 38 consists of statutes and case law relating to how African Americans have been denied full political participation. Chapter 39 consists of statutes and case law relating to how African Americans have been wronged by our unjust legal system. And Chapter 40 consists of statutes and case law relating to how African Americans have been wronged by civil rights cases. And that will conclude tonight's reading of Chapter 34 of the California Reparations Task Force's final report. Before you go, if you haven't done so already, please do not forget to like this video, hit that bell for reminders, and subscribe to CJEC's YouTube channel. When you go, don't forget to get connected to follow CJEC on all social media. That's Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Twitter at CJEC Official. That's at CJEC Official. Get informed and visit www.cjec-official.org and sign up for our current and accurate California reparations news and info on our Get Involved page. Get involved, support our work by volunteering and or donating. To donate, just click the donate tab on the homepage or visit our website. Once again, that's www.cjec-official.org. And special thanks once again to our amazing fiscal sponsor, the California Black Women's Health Project. Thank you all so much for your time. I really appreciate you. We are closer to reparations than we've ever been in California. Have a great night. Peace to the ancestors and peace and reparations.